Hello everyone! Today we're making khachapuri. Now what's a khachapuri? That's a khachapuri. It's an amazing bread from the country of Georgia. It's doughy, it's cheesy, it's eggy, it's everything you want. I'm going to show you how to make it. It's a lot easier than you'd expect. Now, let's get into it. We'll start by blooming our yeast. So we'll need water that's between 100 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit, or 38 and 46 Celsius. That's the ideal temperature range for yeast. Then we'll add some sugar and our yeast. Now that the yeast are comfy and have something to eat, we'll just set them aside for about 10 to 15 minutes while they do their thing. Let's move on to our dry ingredients now. We'll just add our flour and our salt to a mixing bowl. As always, I'll have the measurements in the description below. You can see how our yeast solution here is starting to bubble and become cloudy. That's a good sign that they're active. So we can add them to the party now, along with our milk. Now we'll just mix this all together until it forms a dough. It's going to seem a bit wet, but that's alright, it's supposed to be. Just keep folding and turning it in on itself until all the flour is incorporated. Once it comes together, we'll just add a bit of olive oil, and then we'll continue working the dough. Because this dough is so wet, I found it's best to just use a rubber spatula to mix the dough until it's a bit more cohesive. You could use a mixer with a dough hook if you prefer, but I find it comes out better when it's done by hand, with a little bit less of a mess. You'll start to notice it becoming stringy and tacky after a while. That's our gluten strands developing, which is what we're looking for. Let's wrap this up and place it somewhere warmish to proof for about an hour. For our cheese filling, there's some options here. I'm using ricotta, cheddar, mozzarella, and feta. Traditionally, a combination of farmers' cheeses and regional Georgian cheeses would be used, but those are pretty hard to come by, so this combination of cheeses is supposed to be pretty similar. We'll just work these together into a uniform paste using a fork, and season it with a healthy amount of black pepper, and some salt. I could see this being wonderful with a whole variety of different cheeses, so feel free to experiment with your favorites. Alright, our dough has doubled in size and is looking really good. It's gotten even more wet and tacky at this point, so have your spatula ready. You can really see the gluten strands now. Let's get this dough out onto a floured surface to begin kneading it. You're going to want to keep a good amount of extra flour ready on the side. We'll be adding it as needed to keep the dough, our workspace, and our hands workable. It's going to want to stick to everything, but trust the process. As we work with the dough, it'll start working with us. Just keep adding flour as needed to keep the dough from sticking to your hands and the surface you're working on. The dough is wet enough where it'll absorb all the flour around it, eventually hitting a point where it'll no longer stick to everything, and once it reaches that point, it's ready to work with. Once the dough is finished with this sticky phase, we can move on to rolling it with a rolling pin to roll it out flat so we can shape it. Try to roll it into an oval shape the best you can. That'll make forming it into our boat-like shape later much easier. Then we'll start forming the edge around the sides, which will hold in the filling. Just carefully roll it onto itself and press it down to seal it together. The shape isn't too important. Khachapuri is made into all kinds of shapes. It's sometimes round as a pizza, but more often than not it's this oval shape. We'll now transfer our dough over to our baking tray, and repair it a bit if necessary. Now we're ready for our filling. Start adding your cheese filling and gently press it into place. Remember, this is a cheese bread, so we really want the cheese to be represented well here, so really cheese it up. The edge we rolled out is going to rise as it bakes, creating a pool for the cheese to stay in, so don't worry about it overflowing. It'll all work out. Next, we'll make a quick egg wash to make sure the crust gets golden brown and delicious. It's as easy as just mixing an egg with some water. And we'll just brush it on there. give it a good thick coating, doubling up if you have to. That's going to ensure that our crust is golden and beautiful. It'll also act as the glue for our sesame seeds to stick on there. These are optional, but I think they're a nice touch. Then we'll get our khachapuri into a preheated 200 degrees Celsius, that's 400 degrees Fahrenheit oven to bake for about 25 minutes. While our khachapuri bakes, I'm going to make a little chili garlic butter drizzle on there for a nice added touch. It's simply just butter, garlic, and your chili flake of choice. I'm using Aleppo, all brought to a simmer. Just keep mixing it and keep your temperature low so the chili flake has a chance to infuse into the oil without burning. It looks like our khachapuri is cooking a little faster on one side than the other, which is to be expected. So we'll just rotate it and let it continue cooking until it's about finished. There's about 5 minutes left on this khachapuri, so it's the perfect time to add our egg. Using a spoon, just make a little crater for the egg and crack it right in there, and then we'll return it to the oven for the last few minutes. We want the white of the egg to be cooked, but the yolk's still runny. After about 4 minutes, it's looking like this, and I'd say that looks pretty good. The crust is perfectly colored, the cheese is melty and beautiful with a crispy top, and the egg is cooked just right, still runny in the center. Now we'll just drizzle on that delicious chili butter for a little extra color and flavor. The khachapuri itself is pretty simple in flavor, just cheese and bread, so this really gives it something special. I'm also going to finish it with just a little bit of fresh dill, for some color and pops of freshness. And there you have it, khachapuri. Look at this thing. If that's not the most beautiful khachapuri you've ever seen, I don't know what is. Well, it might be the one and only you've ever seen. But that's alright, first impressions are a big deal. Especially for cheesy bread. And don't worry, it not only looks really nice, it tastes even better. I'm going to eat this entire thing and pass out. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Just a lot. I love cheesy bread. You can help me make more videos by liking and subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching.